I'm talking to you today from my kitchen where I'm about to make some chai for my wife and I. Um, Something's on my chest that I feel like I need to say. The other day, I was talking to a friend, and as I was listening to them, I could feel my body starting to feel very uncomfortable. And that's because my friend was saying things that were wrong. And I did not feel like listening to that crap anymore. So I said to my friend, "Hey, man, I don't think I can keep talking to you much longer." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because you keep saying things that are wrong." And he said, "What? Why would you say that?" And I said, "Well, it's because you're opening your mouth, words are coming out of it, and all the words that are coming out are wrong words." Now, somebody might think that that's rude. I personally think that it was liberating for both me and my friend. Because when people are wrong, sometimes it benefits them to know that. Sometimes you can just skip it. For example, I had someone close to me who's also often wrong. And one day that person said to me, "Do you know who is an amazing finance person, a baller, if you will?" I said, "No, who?" He told me it was Chevy Chase. I said, "The actor?" He said, "Yeah, the actor." I said, "Well, what makes Chevy Chase, the actor, such a baller?" And this person proceeded to say, "Have you ever heard of Chevy Chase, Maryland?" I said, "Why, yes, given that I lived in Maryland." And then I knew where it was going. This person thought that Chevy Chase owned Chevy Chase, Maryland, when in fact, the actor Chevy Chase, his actual name is not Chevy Chase. He changed it to Chevy Chase, possibly after the name of that city. That part I don't know. But my person that I was connected to, they knew for sure, except for they just made that S up. And they proceeded to tell me that Chevy Chase was such a baller that he bought a whole city and named it after himself. And you know what? I decided I didn't care if they believed that. I let them to continue to say that. And I hope that they say it to someone else who then would say, "Hey, man, you know what? You're saying dumb things. Go to Google." But I let them believe what they wanted to believe because in that instance, it didn't care. It didn't matter. But sometimes when people are wrong, it does matter. And we live in a time where a lot of people who are wrong are saying things and doing things, and they're having consequences that are affecting other people. And what's sad is a lot of times these consequences go on a lot longer than they have to because some of us nicer folks, I'm not including myself because I'm not nice, but some of us nicer folks, we let stuff go on for a long time because we don't want to say, "Hey, man, guess what? You're saying things that are wrong." Because we get taught in this country that being wrong is not right. We start off in school taking tests or whatever, and we get into class and the teacher basically comes with that energy of, "You've got an A in this class until you mess it up. You got 100 until you get some wrong answers." And so people are very much afraid of being wrong and getting graded poorly in life. And so a lot of times um, we don't want to acknowledge that we're wrong, or we want to hide that we're wrong, or we want to cheat, or we want to do anything we can to keep that high score because we don't want to be wrong. But the thing about life is about learning. So if you cannot admit that you're wrong, then you are a loser because you're going to be losing all the time because life is full of being wrong, learning from that, and then getting better only to hit the limits of what you know and run into a new thing where you're wrong about. Like me, for example, I was raised to believe many, many wrong things. Most of what I was raised to believe at an early age was wrong. And I was raised by people who I guess they loved me, but everything they said was mostly wrong. And by learning and reading books and meeting people and trying new things, I learned how wrong they were. Now, do I have to hate them for being wrong? No. Do I have to Hey, little window on the woke. I wish you were here in the beginning, but let's just keep going. So basically, when people are wrong, it's sometimes we just have to tell them. Like I had to tell my friend because I didn't want to listen to him anymore. And I don't really care if he goes out and says wrong things to other people, but I definitely didn't want to hear it. But I also hoped that he might realize that he doesn't know what he's talking about and maybe learn a thing or two. And some people think that it's arrogant to say that someone is wrong, but sometimes they are. Like if someone tells you 5 times 5 is 13, they're not right. And you can tell them that and they can learn something, or they can refuse to learn something. And they can walk around sounding stupid. It's okay. Like example I gave to my friend when he persisted in trying to communicate with me, even after I said, hey man, stop sending me these videos of these whack people who are saying stupid things. But he proceeded to send me videos because he thought one of them was going to convince me. But I already used to be dumb. So I already learned. So I wasn't going to go back and get dumb again just to make him feel better. So I proceeded to say, hey, no, I'm not going to change my mind. And he said, well, I mean, this. And I told him, you know what, bro? Half truths are worse than lies. And I heard that from some wise person a long time ago, and it's true because when you tell half the truth, you start thinking, oh, there's something true about that. And so you might think it's the whole truth. But a lie, when it's a blatant lie, you know it's a lie, you can write it off, you can ignore it. When it's the half truth, you make the mistake of thinking that maybe there's some truth to it. And I told him there's a lot of the stuff you send to me is full of half truths, and that definitely is worse than lies. And then I said, so say, for example, somebody tells you, I'm going to Berlin, right? And they say all the signs point to Berlin, and I think I'm going to Berlin. Only thing is, they're in the United States and they're headed to Berlin, Massachusetts, when they meant to be going to Berlin, Germany. Now, were they right that they're going to Berlin? Yep. Were the signs all pointing to Berlin? Yep. Are they in the wrong effing country? Indeed, they are. And that is a lot of us, a lot of folks who are reading the signs that's taking them to the wrong place. And there's something about it that sounds right, but it ain't the whole truth. And I, for one, I'm not trying to say I'm going to figure out the whole truth in this lifetime, but I'm definitely pursuing it. And I'm definitely not about staying stuck on stupid. And I don't mean it to be a jerk, but it's like, it's getting to a point. I crossed over the line of 50, right? I got less time in this world than I have. And I am not wasting it talking to people who don't know stuff. And I don't mean it to be mean because they can know stuff. It's stuff out there to learn. It's things you can learn, but you got to be able to admit when you're wrong. And so many folks aren't. I watch their minds do so much mental gymnastics to try to be right instead of just being like, I'm wrong. Like I'll give you a sign of a positive time I could have been wrong. I was reading this article that said that the old Pope, the one that just died, said all this stuff about all these other religions being equal and blah, 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 blah. And it was a beautiful article. And I said, wow, this is amazing. This is kind of beautiful, dope Pope. And then I said, hold on, man. I don't think this guy would have said all this. Since he's a Catholic, it seems like it's just going a little far. So I dug into it. And as beautiful as that article was, it was full of crap. Well, half of crap. So it was half truth. You know, somebody took some of the stuff he said and then they expounded on it and added things that he didn't say. And so I looked it up. I found out that he didn't really say it. And then I didn't post it anywhere and I didn't share it. But so many of us will see something that says something negative about some people we don't like. And then we just like, yes, because we want to be right about how messed up they are. But it's worth checking out to find out if that thing is true. Because if it's really bad, you know, you should tell the people. But you don't want to put it out there just because you want to be right about something. You want to just be right about something. You just want to do the right thing, right? And a lot of times we just don't do the work. A lot of times we just say something somebody else told us, or we repeat things like the other today actually, somebody commented on something, said, I only read the Bible because that has all the truth I need. To me, that is a sign that somebody is trying to sound smart and moral, and chances are they're not either one of them. Because I was in church my whole life. I was a pastor for 12 years. I graduated top of my seminary class. I'm rocking a WWJD bracelet right now from back when I was younger. And I know that if somebody tells me all they read is the Bible, that is a euphemism for I don't read shit. like, like that means I don't learn things, not everybody, but a lot of people. And that's a lot anyway. Who only reads something? You don't read street signs? You don't read recipes? You don't read subtitles on movies? Come on, man. Don't say you only read something because that's got all the truth in it. Even the book, if they read it, they would have known that it says that not everything is in it. It literally says it in it that not everything is in it. So you know they didn't read that joint. But they say it because they want to be right. They want to sound right. And I feel like we're in a season where we cannot afford to be overly nice, letting people be wrong, not saying anything because we want to keep a relationship, even if it's with your family or friends. Like I put on Facebook, I tell my friends, if something or former friends, I just say, hey, listen, if you still think this after all this time, please delete me before I delete you. Because if I come across your stuff, I'm deleting you forever. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean. They want to be right all the time without knowing anything. I'm going to let them, but I don't need to be around them because if they're around me, and they say something that is not true and wrong, I'm just going to tell them. And just like I would want somebody to tell me, like when I was a fundamentalist Christian and Republican, because that's how my grandma raised me, and people told me, and I looked this up and I said, my friends challenged me. I took the challenge. And then I found out that the people I was with were a bunch of liars and hypocrites. And then I said, wow, I was wrong about these people. Well, thank God I learned I was wrong and I almost lost my mind. But once I settled from it, I was able to move on. That was a gift for them to challenge me and to tell me that so I can move forward and grow and become a better human being. So who am I not to pass that gift on to other folks? So if you get anything out of this message today, sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes other people are wrong. And there's nothing wrong with being wrong because the pursuit is truth. And there are limitations to what a human can understand, a human can know. None of us, no matter how much we read or study or everything, we're not going to know everything. So you're going to run into being wrong easily. So embrace the fact that you will be wrong more times than you're not wrong. But as long as you have a mind that's tuned to learning, you will get better, you will grow, you will expand in your consciousness. That's what it's all about. It's not about being right. It's not about thinking you're right. It's not about looking right. It's not about being nice. Because I'm so tired of nice people and good people. Good people, as I said in the past, good people to me are the worst people. Because if I see somebody who wants to be good, I know they're going to manipulate everything in order to come off as a good person, even though what they think might be good, like being nice all the time or something like that. It doesn't serve anybody. A large reason why we're in the boat we're in right now is because a lot of nice, good people who had messed up family that they didn't say anything to because they didn't want to be mess up turkey dinners or whatever the case may be. But I'm coming from a place where I will mess up the dinner. I will make the whole thing uncomfortable for everybody if people are going to continue to say crazy things and want me to co-sign it. I am not the one. And I hope that more of you are not the ones either. We need more of us to be not the ones when it comes to goofiness and ignorance and all these things. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you might lose friends. Yes, people might say that you think that you're better than them. But I had a person told me that. They said, oh, you think you're better than me? I said, no, I think you're better than the you're being. You're being trash, you know? And I think you can be better. But if you don't want to be, that's your prerogative, but I don't have to be around you. And it's that. And you know what? They feel bad because they know they're full of crap. So my point is, if you're wrong, be wrong. Learn and keep going. If other people are wrong, you don't have to say it the way I'm saying it. I'm saying it because I got years of oppression and stuff coming out of my system. But however you need to say it, you can say it in a gentle way if you want to, like, excuse me, all the things you just said, well, they're all incorrect. Whatever way you have to say it. But we cannot continue to allow this politeness and all these things to keep us in these states of lack of consciousness that we're in right now. So my invitation to you is, if you're a nervous person, you're scared of losing your friends, find better friends. You're scared of losing your family, find better family. There's lots of people out there looking for somebody like you. You don't have to be around people that don't know what they're talking about, that are harmful and all these things, just to look like a good person, just to not be wrong, just to not rock the boat. It's too many people like that. And if you're following my Substack or anything I'm writing, I'm not the one. So thanks for listening. Thanks, Mark, for being up here, Window on the Woke, and whoever sees this later. Be encouraged. There's a lot of learning to be done, and the world is waiting for you to show up fully as you, so that other people can have permission to be them. But it's not going to happen if we all scared to make mistakes. So that's all I got for now. I'll be sending some other stuff out here. Hey, Ginge, you just joined. I'm just about to bounce. But thank you for being here. I hope you watch the video and share it and push it out to other folks. We need to start some kind of like actually like window to the woke, a window on a woke type revolution. Like let's wake up, be awake, and just be real. Thanks.